CBS 46 News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
'Tis the season for everyone to wish even complete strangers a Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. But they are not merry or happy for everyone, which is why this week's Public Affairs on Peach tackles holiday stress. Good morning, I'm Megan Packer. For many people, holiday stress involves keeping the pounds off. So my first guest this morning is registered dietitian nutritionist Marissa Moore. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
No problem. And this is a very important topic to many people. You're around so many food and drinks over the holidays. Is it realistic just to say no?
No, it's not. I mean, it's everywhere, right? It's in your office when you go to work, it's at home, your neighbors bring cakes and pies over. It's kind of hard to just say no. But there are ways that you can kind of keep those calories in check as we go through the year.
How do you do it?
So one of my favorite tips is if you're going to a party, instead of going straight for the cookies, start with the vegetables. Somebody always brings vegetables to the party, right? So start with those first, and also go for the items that have some extra protein, like your lean meats or fish. You might have like smoked salmon there. The other trick is if you're going to a party or if you're trying to host a party, you might put something healthy on the table yourself, right? So you might do an asparagus that's roasted, or roasted asparagus that's wrapped with some smoked salmon and maybe a little yogurt dip or something on the side, or some roasted vegetables there.
Make it appealing.
Do
something to make it stand out when you've got the cookies and the sweets and the breads right next to it.
Right, and start with the healthier items, knowing that you're going to probably go with some of the more indulgent ones a little bit later. But yeah, saying no is a little bit difficult for most people, so I don't really advise it. Just be a little more cognizant of what you decide to eat.
And you're saying maybe don't even put those other options out yet until later in the evening.
Well, that's one option, but as a party goer or as a host, you want to just make sure that there's at least some healthy options on the table. You might even follow the 80-20 rule whenever you're hosting a party. You have 80% of the items are very tasty but still very good for you, and then 20% that are a little more indulgent. Because sometimes you can't really take the butter out of everything and still have it taste right.
Of course, it is the holidays after all.
Exactly.
How about everybody with a sweet tooth? What are some tips to keep in mind when you're going to the parties?
Yeah, so you know that you're going to indulge a bit, but one thing that I say is try not to post up at the dessert table. So take a cookie, walk away. Enjoy the cookie away from the table. And if you're making them at home, one thing that I like to recommend is to either freeze them or share them with your neighbors, take them to work. You can do a variety of different things, and you can also even tweak the recipes just a little bit so that you're getting a little bit less of the sugar and some of the fat that you would typically get in some of those holiday treats.
What are some alternatives? I've heard things like putting applesauce in for, is it butter? You can maybe substitute that in for some baking?
Yeah, so for some baking. So if it's something like a pound cake, you have to be very careful because you can't just put applesauce in for all of the fat. It just won't turn out right. But you can do that with quick breads like banana bread, or if you're doing like a pumpkin spice bread, the applesauce works really well. You can even do pureed plums or, pureed prunes for extra moisture. You can also do pureed bananas because they add lots of flavor as well. But when we think about healthy alternatives, like I like to make a sweet potato pie, and one way that I like to do that is to add more spice. So add cinnamon, add nutmeg, and add vanilla. Those have a little bit of a sweet flavor to them, and they add extra flavor, so you can actually cut back on the sugar just a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those are really great tips to keep in mind. I might use some of those, actually.
Yeah.
Let's talk about actual weight gain. We always hear people say, oh, I gained 5 pounds, 10 pounds over the holidays. Is that true?
No, it's not. That is a myth, and that's a good one to talk about, right? So people always ask me, oh my gosh, I'm gonna gain so much weight during the holidays. What do I do? The truth is, we usually only gain about 1 to 2 pounds for the entire period between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. So that 1 to 2 pounds is a far cry from 5 to 10. But the thing is, what research shows is that people don't tend to lose that 1 to 10 pounds. So every year we're accumulating 1 to 2, I said 1 to 10, but 1 to 2 pounds, and we start to accumulate that 1 to 2 pounds.
From every Christmas, from last Christmas to this year.
Exactly, and before you know it, you're 10 pounds heavier and you don't know where that came from, and it's the cookies.
So it's easier to put it on, it sounds like, than to get it off right away.
It is. It's very difficult to get it off. You know, whenever you are enjoying those things at the holidays, definitely enjoy them. but find a way to balance it out with some healthier options.
Okay, great. And getting back to when you do go out to the parties, should you eat anything before you go? Is it a good rule of thumb? Do you show up hungry or have something in your stomach?
So this is a really good question, and it really depends on the person. A lot of people will like to show up without eating first so that they can enjoy everything that's there. But sometimes if you save up your calories for the entire day, that leaves you ravenous at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and you end up overdoing it. So I usually recommend maybe have a handful of almonds or something before you leave for the party. That way it takes the edge off just a bit. But really, it's about what you do when you get there. You know, some of the things that I like to recommend at parties, for women, you can carry a little clutch, and that actually keeps you from holding too much food at one time.
Don't do the 2 plates.
Exactly. You know, the other thing is, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, starting with your vegetables first. That way, and the reason I say that is because it actually fills you up. So you don't have as much room for some of the cookies and treats and things because you're already full on vegetables and some of the healthier items. And then, you know, I don't know if we're going to talk about alcohol, but we have to do that when we start talking about parties.
Actually, we're going to talk about alcohol in just a minute. We need to take a quick break, but we're talking alcohol and exercise when we come back.
Awesome.
So sit tight. And when we come back, we will talk about those, talking about pushing yourself away from the plate, also the role that these other factors play to manage your stress over the holidays. Stay with us.